Good day to you, everyone. This is DW Africa, and today we are talking about Cameroon politics. This 2025 is a crucial political year in the history of the country as citizens will be heading to the polls to elect their new leader. But an opposition candidate who is 72 years old, Barrister Akere Muna, says that he has what it takes to unseat the current government. He's 72, he's an anti corruption advocate, and he was the former president of Amnesty International. What does he have to offer? He is going to be discussing with us today. Greetings to you, Barrister. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure.
The pleasure is ours as well. So last year, or towards the end of last year, you officially announced that you were going to be running for post of president. Should Cameroonians support you when you pulled out abruptly during a similar election that took place in 2018 and instead backed a fellow opposition candidate, Professor Maurice Kamto? Do you think Cameroonians should rally behind you again?
Well, that's a very pertinent question. I think that circumstances have changed. And I did rally behind uh, Professor Maurice Kamto uh, because it was important for me to show, because we had been having discussions for over a month, I must say. And I would say, well, you back me, and you say, I back you, and all that. And we went on and on. So 2 days, I just said, listen, you know what, Morris, I cannot ask you to do what I can't do. So I withdrew to put my weight behind him. And I think, because I believe sternly, even to today, that it is important for us to have a meaningful coalition that uh, that will be together through these elections. And this ties in with my theory of a transition. Uh, I'm not trying to be a king. I'm trying to serve. And we need a transition, which I put at 5 years, less than the 7 years, that will permit us to reset the system, and then everybody can come in. And I will leave after that. So what I'm actually proposing today is different from what I did in 2018. And of course, now we also have a critical situation with the president, who is 7 years older. And we have seen the country stagnate. We have seen the institutions stagnate. And we have seen corruption grow to amazing levels. And after 30 years of my life, I've spent in the fight against corruption. So I just thought, it'll be a shame for me not to use the knowledge I have amassed in many institutions against corruption and governance, and for governance, be it the African peer review mechanism. I wound up being the chair of the eminent persons panel, be it at the level of the African Union, where I was president of the very first elected Economic and Social Council, be it in Transparency International for 9 years, where I was the international vice president, be it in the International Anti-Corruption Council, where I was chair. I have this experience on governance and fighting against corruption, and that is really what is killing our country. There are two things our country needs to solve: corruption and the problem with the Northwest and Southwest. These go to the heart of the kind of debacle in which our country is. And because of that, I think the elections of 2025 are really critical. And so that's what I think, that 2018 was 2018, and 2025, I'm all in.
The problem of fragmented opposition is a big one in Cameroon, and it seems to be one of the main reasons why it's been practically impossible to unseat the current government that has been there. Can you accept a coalition in Cameroon today would probably come to again as head because he emerged as the strongest opposition in the previous election, or any other one, or any other person, and not you? Can you accept
Well,
that?
whether I accept a coalition, firstly, I am a candidate supported by Univer and proposed. I mean, Univer and UPC. They came and saw me and said, "Well, listen, we think that the problems the country now faces." Uh, makes you to be the most appropriate person. The Anglophone crisis, you're an Anglophone, you know the root of the problem. And corruption, you're the guy who has worked on this for so many years. These are the basic problems. And we think we should propose a transition where we go in, fix these things, and get out. So that's what we're asking you. So they came to meet me. And so now I'm in a coalition made of political parties, PAP, PERP, and many other parties, and civil society individuals and civil society as well. I am from civil society. I don't have a political party. And they thought that was, in the present situation, is a plus. So when you talk about fragmentation of political parties, I agree with you. It doesn't concern me. I'm willing to work with whoever. And as to the point about Professor Kamto, I say yes, but will you say because Biden won the last time? That's what he said, that he knows how to beat Trump. What happened? I think that elections, and in this case, we have had a legislative election in the interim. We had the presidential elections in 2018. Then we had the legislative and municipal elections. For reasons known only to the Professor Kamto himself, he didn't go. So if you want to go by any kind of electoral record, he doesn't have any elected person. Somebody like Cabral Libi has over 500. So if anybody going to the polls today, what does he bring along? He doesn't have those of 2018 locked in. CPDM comes in with over 9,000 municipal councillors, over 9,000. These are the people going to the field. He brings with them. Cabral Libi has over 5,000. He comes with them, and all the other leaders, UNDP and others, they come with those already as acquired peace supporters. So for us to fall back on the results of 2018, I think it's a bit of it doesn't follow any kind of political logic.
So, Barrister, when you talk about other opposition leaders working with you already with regards to 2025, you mentioned Cabral Libi. Of course, he's got a huge political presence in Cameroon, contrary to the MRC of Professor Maurice Kamto. But at that level, we are talking about the municipal and parliamentary elections. Now we are talking about the presidential election, and we are looking at parties that emerge with some level of votes and support during the 2018. And one of those parties, we have the MRC, the Social Democratic Front. If we are talking about opposition coalition without some of these parties that stand out when it comes to presidential election, can we hope for something positive or bigger?
Yeah, but now let me express myself a bit differently. I'm saying that there is no barometer today by which you can actually assess the political weight of Professor Kamto, the CPDM, Cabral Libi, and the others. There's a barometer, which is who they have elected. So I am a bit, and when you also talk about 2018, don't forget that a lot of people who plan to vote for me, and I spoke to them personally, returned in their votes to Professor Kamto. So I think that, to me, that is not the issue. The issue here is how can you mobilize people for these elections? Okay, I keep giving you an example. An election is not frozen. An electorate is not frozen. That if I voted for you 7 years ago, I vote for you today. Otherwise, there's no point to even run for election, since Biya has always been elected all the time. I think that people evolve with the times. They see what the stakes are and see the person who can best do this. I know, and I'm feeling it with people coming to see me, talk to me from all over and through the political spectrum, and the way we have planned to make sure that we are present now in 360 districts of the country, and we are now slowly making sure that we can fill in all the polling stations. So that's a strategy. And I'm proposing something which is new. Nobody does. I'm saying I'm proposing a transition government that will come in, do all the institutional reform, do the audit. Let us know exactly what does this country owe. Thirdly, why don't we have a solution for the Northwest and Southwest? You see, these are things that I call will be sorted out in the first 100 days? Fourthly, what can we do to quickly integrate the diaspora in a political process?
But I wanted to find out, when you say you can do or solve these problems in 100 days, what can you concretely do in terms of, or provide in terms of solutions?
I'm saying that in 100 days, I will be ready with the solutions. That is it.
Okay, so
We,
what are the solutions, or you don't have any idea yet
of
now?
course, I
You
have.
don't
I
have
mean,
any.
I've told you what the problems are, and for you to be able to put the solutions in place, you have to have the facts. For example, take the 360 districts I'm talking about. To get the solution, I have to have a commission that will be in every single of the 360 districts, finding out what it is that the people in my own district in Bengui, what do they want? What is most important to them? Is it the health center? Is it the kind of schools have no benches? Is it because I have to know what they want? What really
So,
irks?
so
So
barrister,
that's
so you mean to say you do not know what the problems are
No, I
now?
know I've identified the problems. The problem is that we have a government that is irrelevant. It's not connected to the people. It doesn't know what the people want. We have a democracy which is government by the government, for the government, and of the government. The people have nothing to do with what is happening. And we are trying to say that this country should be governed according to the will of the people, and the people have to hold those who govern them accountable. Okay, so there are certain things that are immediate. For example, my first government, you cannot get in if you don't declare your assets. For example, that can be done within 30 minutes. Dual nationality, you have to go through legal process, but from 30 minutes from being sworn in, Cameroonians, born Cameroonians, can come to this country without a visa, okay, to regularize the law, and they can have any other nationality. My principle is easy. Once a Cameroonian, always a Cameroonian, till you renounce to that nationality. Okay, the next thing is the Northwest Southwest problem. I cannot say in 100 years, I cannot say we will have, as soon as we have the power, a system that is for a dialogue, okay, that goes to the root causes. That is what we need, a dialogue. If it means we have to have a third party mediator, which is most likely, we will do that. That's what will face the problem. It is very difficult for you to feel that you can be the cause of the problem and be the solution. No, no, no.
Some of the Cameroonians that we have been speaking to believe that a younger person is what they need. What do you have to say about that?
There's no doubt about that. But I'm saying that our country is in a specific position in which age is not an issue, it's not the qualification, especially when the guy who is trying to become president again is 20 years older than I am. Okay? When I was in secondary school, the same guys were telling me that you are the future of the nation. Well, yeah, I am 72 years old. Am I still the future of the country? I don't know. I think that it is true that a younger person might be what is necessary. And that is why I said 5 years maximum, clean up, shake up, and I'm gone. And the country will elect who they want. Well, I mean, people have been elected in free and fair elections in this country at 70, 71. Go to Sierra Leone, go to, I think, Namibia and all the other places. You still find that, age is not the issue. I don't think that we should be focalized on age. Should be focused on the problems we have and how we can come to a solution. It doesn't matter how brilliant you are and young you are. If you didn't sit, for example, like myself, in the African peer review mechanism, talk to heads of states, go to every country with 30 experts, examine the country's democracy, the political system, the socioeconomic mix of the country, and other governance issues, and know and understand what's happening, what will you do? If you didn't sit in the IMF consultative board about the IMF programs in Africa, how do you cope with the situation there? If you didn't sit in what is known as the civil society parliament, that's the Economic and Social Council, that discusses the civil society point of view in the politics of our continent today, how do you move? If you didn't sit in the African Union General Assembly meetings, how would you understand the African Union policy on free trade zone, and also on the free trade zone, yes, and also on freedom, free movement within the continent, and on the African currency. These are matters that you learn, you learn, you find out about. So I come in ready to move. Okay, so that experience must count for nothing, count for something. People will point you to Senegal, but the gentleman in Senegal had been involved directly in the taxation and the road policies. I did about that. But so we don't have that in the country here.
But we are there, young people like us, many of us baristas, so many young people are there, but they are not having the
Yeah,
opportunity, they are not given the chance.
I don't know who. I'm not saying that they don't. Who gives the opportunity? I mean, somebody like I admire Cabral Libi from what he was doing and how he was able to move up. Okay, but I am resentful against those who put age in front.
Why did you never join the government to change things maybe from within? Who knows?
Well, because I thought there was no point. I mean, you cannot you cannot turn the dog into a cat. Just about how strong how much you try. There are little test things I've done, like promoting certain policy. I was the first person who had the conference on declaration of assets. I saw the government resisted. I proposed certain things. The bilingual commission you're seeing, that's my proposal. I wrote a whole report about it based on the Canadian system. And when they actually used my report, they totally turned everything around. Okay, the first structure, which they called then observatoire, I was a member of it. I drafted a document of what the observatory should do. It was put aside, and there was this constant will of the government trying to control everything. I mean, interestingly, the debate on Article 15 of the Constitution is very funny because that clause is a betrayal of this government's belief in that it can do everything by corruption. They made sure that they put that mandat imperatif. Uh, why did they put it? So because they were convinced that they would be able to take out parliamentarians from other parties, and that when they take them out, they will not be kicked out of parliament. Because in '92, when that occurred, because it was a debate about parties. So this government in its DNA is always looking for ways and means to distort, to crook, to cheat. That is in the DNA, and it is sad. Mimi, you do realize that if you were 8 years old when Biya became president, today you're 50. You've been to primary school, secondary school, university, married. You're 5 years from retirement. These people between 8 and 50, what system do they know? What choices can they determine?
What is your most honest assessment of President Paul Biya's legacy after more than 43 years in power?
Well, I think that it's very negative. Nepotism is on the rise. Corruption is on the rise. Infrastructure is totally destroyed. I mean, if you're someone living in the northern part of Cameroon, do you know what it costs you to come down to the south? It's as if you're trying to create two countries.
And that was Barrister Akere Muna talking about his plans for the future of Cameroon. What are your thoughts after this discussion? Let us know in the comment section. Thank you for watching and goodbye.